Hey everyone, Grayson the Bard here, and welcome back to day 152 of the Hunt a Day. And today we are fighting a monster that was actually a bit of a late addition to the list that I wasn't initially planning on hunting. Today we are fighting Blangonga. And the reason it's a late addition to the list, after I posted the last month when I did the Monster Hunter wishlist video, a bunch of people brought up Blangonga in the comments, and I remembered that the monster existed. Because now that we are this close to the end, I will be like a little transparent on how I did my planning towards the right when I was wrapping up doing my frontier hunts. I realized I had not been keeping track of which monsters I'd been fighting, and I was like, there is a non-zero chance I accidentally do the same monster twice. So I went through and I listed out all the monsters I'd been hunting, and then I planned out the rest of the series. Like, it was like episode 80 all the way through episode 156, which is going to be Fatalis. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, all right, I need to think of as many monsters as I possibly can. I'm going to go through all the games I have and see what I can fight. And what was supposed to be in this spot, instead of Blangonga, as like a kind of funny, like, hey, we are now in the final week before Rise, so I'm going to fight everyone's least favorite monster, it was going to be Giratodus. But once I saw all the comments about Blangonga, I was like, no, I gotta find a spot for him. So I put him here, not as a joke, but because I genuinely think it's a pretty cool monster. But I realized when I was doing this hunt, like as soon as I got into it, I remembered, oh right, I hate fighting this goddamn thing. Blangonga is one of those monsters that I love in concept and I love in theory, but I don't like in practice. And I think the biggest reason for that is I do not like fighting pre-5th generation Rajang. And Blangonga is essentially meant to be a warm-up to Rajang. They were introduced in, I think, the same game. And Blangonga is it's a baby Rajang in the sense that it doesn't have as many hit points. It doesn't have like the super enraged state, but it has that same level of speed, the same level of jumping around, and a lot of the same moves to kind of like teach you, hey, this is something you're going to have to deal with in the end game, get ready. And I, as a pre 5th gen greatsword main, I did not like get into some of my more favorite weapons until 5th generation of Monster Hunter. I absolutely despise fighting Blangonga with greatsword. This stupid ape refuses to stand still for any period of time, and it always feels like whenever I go into an opening, or what feels like it should be an opening, right as my attack is about to connect, or right as I release the button, Blangonga will jump backwards, or he will initiate a really fast like startup animation to an attack that I can't get out of the way of because I'm locked into my own animation. And he just is a real pain in the ass to fight. But he also teaches a very important lesson of there are some monsters that have weaknesses. I realize kind of late into this hunt, but eventually I remember, right, I need to be attacking his legs. I need to get out of the 5th generation mindset of like be on the face as much as humanly possible. I need to attack his legs because that's how I get topples. That's how I create big enough openings. But then there were many times where I would get a topple, I would run in, I would start to do a charge slash, even with focus on this build. He would get up and get out of the way before my attack landed. So, this ape can go to hell. But in terms of what I like about him, it is no secret that I like the bludgeoner monsters. In a comment on the Farewell to Rise video that I posted on Friday, I got someone saying, like, we get it, you like the bludgeoners, or the brawler monsters, and I'm like, yeah, that's my archetype. And so I do really like Blangonga in theory. I like the ape skeleton. I like how he is a terror in low rank and gets more manageable the more you deal with him and in higher ranks when you have access to more skills. I would love to see if they bring him into Monster Hunter Wilds, and again, I'm going to say, especially now that we are this close to the game releasing, I went spoiler-free on Monster Hunter Wilds right after the release date trailer in September. So I have not seen any trailers since September. I don't know most of the monsters I think that are going to be in the game yet. I've only had 2 that have been spoiled for me so far, and I would like to keep it that way if I can. So please do not confirm or deny if I am right or if I am wrong, or if Blangonga is going to be in the game, if they've already shown him off, anything like that. I want to be surprised. Because I would love to see what Capcom does with Blangonga in, the post 5th generation fight design, because Rajang post 5th generation is a lot more stationary, a lot more, the openings feel a lot more like openings, so Blangonga jumping around a lot would not necessarily be preparation for Rajang, but I could see that still being part of its core identity. And so maybe it is going to be, if they bring it into Wilds or like a future game, it could be like the faster counterpart to Rajang. And I would be 100% okay with that. What I really want to see, though, there is a cutscene or something I remember seeing where it is a greatsword user swinging at Blangonga, and Blangonga grabs the sword and knocks it out of the way. That's something I want to see implemented into Blangonga's fight design if they do bring it back. I want to see, like, its intelligence and it using, like, the monster's weapons against it. There were a couple Frontier videos where a lot of where some of the monsters adjust to what weapons the hunters bring to the table, and it changes their moveset, changes their attack patterns. I would like to see that with Blangonga. Have it recognize what the hunter is using against it, and adjust its strategy accordingly. Maybe if it sees that the hunter is using a heavier weapon like a greatsword or a hammer or a lance, it will focus on its projectile attacks, its ice breath, it like throwing the rock, or the like hucking ice rock up into the air. If it sees the hunter with a ranged weapon, maybe it'll like try and get up into the mix a lot more. I think that would be really cool. I would love to see Capcom show off more of the intelligence of the ape monsters, and I think Blangonga would be a good way to do that, while still differentiating it from its more like end game centric Rajang cousin. That is enough about the fight. Aside from the fact, I will say I capture Blangonga today because by the time I saw him limping, I was like, I just want this fight to be over. I want to start recording voiceover. I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. So I just captured him. Not very often I do that in this series unless it is a capture specific quest, but yeah, Blangonga was getting on my nerves this morning. In terms of design, I love him. I think it's very simple. It's very it's very simple, but also very striking and identifiable. I was thinking about this while I was fighting him today, and he kind of reminds me of the archetype of like the old mountain sage kind of like character. With like the bald head, the kind of beard, his like mustache and fangs make that like pointed wizard beard look, like a mountain monkey kind of thing. It's a neat aesthetic, and I really like it. I like the simple color palette of just the whites with like the contrast of the oranges and the yellows. It works for Barioth and it works for Blangonga. Oh, another thing about his design that's really cool. I can't remember if this is a thing in Generations or not. I wasn't paying close enough attention to the fight today to notice. But I know in earlier generations of Monster Hunter, in order to fully break Blangonga's face, you have to use a fire weapon. You have to, like, melt it. And there are not a lot of monsters in the franchise that have, like, very specific part break requirements like that. I know Frontier did a couple, and I talked about that when I did the Akura Vishimu hunt, and how I like it in concept, but think it needs some toning down if they ever bring those kind of monsters back into the mainline game. But I would really like to see them use that for Blangonga again. Have the, like, specific you need to use a fire weapon to break, to fully get this part to break the face kind of deal. It would be a good way to incentivize people to mix up their sets and not just make, I am going to make a raw set that does everything kind of deal. But yeah, I'd like to see Blangonga again. I would really like to see him terrorize low rank again and have him be like a wall for people. And I think he has the potential for it. I think he's not an easy monster. They lump him in Generations. They put him in the same power level as like the Hermitowers and Rathian, and I do not think that is accurate. I think he is like a cut above those kind of monsters, more in line with something like, maybe not Rathalos, but like a step above Rathian at the very least. I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know. But again, I am spoiler free on Monster Hunter Wilds, especially this close to the game's releasing. Please do not confirm or deny anything, but let me know what you think about this frozen monkey. Stick around until the end of the hunt if you can. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't. And until next time, I'll see you next time.